Hello, I'm Lou Ann Fulmer here with Eric Heckman, founder and president at Heckman Financial. Oh my gosh, he's been doing this for over 30 years. So he helps retirees just like you. If you have questions, they have the answers and the experience, believe me. Here's something that might surprise you. Having enough money isn't always the problem in retirement. Many retirees have saved successfully their entire lives, built up great nest eggs, and then they can't bring themselves to spend it. And so, that's a funny shift psychologically as you're trying to spend that money in retirement. Eric, tell us, what are some of the problems you've seen people go through when they haven't made adjustments in transitioning into retirement and making themselves spend that money?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's kind of ironic. Lots of times I'll see people with, the adult children will go, "Mom and Dad don't spend money," and why aren't they doing these things?
Yeah.
Or even the sadder cases. I cannot believe how many people that have told me that, yeah, mom or dad before they died, just we kept telling them to go do this, to go do this dream trip, to go do that trip, and then they never did, and because they wanted to leave them more money for the kids, and it's like, well, why did you spend all that time and energy saving it, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of people, one way they built up a lot of money wasn't luck in the stock market; it was just being thrifty and not being big spenders. So it's also sometimes hard for them to 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 get over that, right? And I mean, I don't know how many times I've told people it's like fly business class at least, right? At
Yeah.
least if you're going to go do that trip to Europe, you've got the money. It's like enjoy it a little bit. And so yeah, there is a lot of that, and I think a lot of it's also because of the risk, the worry that they have of what's going to happen to my money, and am I being crazy with it, or something like that. So there's this analogy about people plan for that hike up the mountain, like if they're going up Everest, and they do all this training, but they don't really focus on the downhill, and actually more people die going down Everest than they've gone up it,
Yeah, I
and that's
didn't
the
know
crazy
that.
part.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah,
Crazy.
and then there's also this thing called sequence of returns, so which is just a fancy way of saying if you get those bad years early, and we all know there's 2 to 3 bad years out of every decade, but some decades are way worse than other decades, and most of us will have 3 decades in retirement. And if that bad one's the first one, it makes a huge difference. So people
Mhm.
are worried about that. So, part of it I think is just planning and having a better plan to have that money last, and then it gives you the confidence, and I try to build into all of our plans a fund. Fun
Love that.
fund is it's whatever you want. Is it 15, 20, 30,000, whatever the number is, for at least 10 or 15 years to go off and do all those trips. And mentally, when you go, oh, I've already got this pot of money over here that I know I can spend every year on my trips, then it allows you to go, let's do this little fancier trip. Let's go for an
Yeah.
extra few days. Let's not just do the cruise, but let's fly out, early and stay a little later, right? And
How
things like that.
fun.
So
Yeah.
yeah, and that's what we want people. We want people to retire more. We want them to enjoy life.
Right, but like you said, I can imagine, that market volatility is gonna hit a retiree really hard, especially like you said, it could be any time, and that's what scares me. It's kind of the luck of the draw. Is it gonna be your first decade in retirement or whatever? And when you're working, you're still adding money to those accounts, so, that's okay when the markets go up and down. But when you're actually withdrawing money out when you're retired, oh my gosh, that's so scary because then you're thinking about, "Oh, I can't pay for groceries, I can't pay for my utilities, things like that." So, talk about how you help retirees overcome that paralyzing feeling of selling investments when markets are down because they're kind of like scared to do that. You know all about that.
Yeah, no, certainly. So I mean that should be a big concern. If you're not concerned about that, then you haven't really educated yourself on the issues, because yeah, it is a big deal. And so yeah, that's one of those things where you do want to have a plan, and the only way we've looked at in the last 30 years, there's only one solution, and it's having some money in market money, having some money in steady income. So steady income are assets that pay good high dividends, so you have cash flow sitting there, so that cash flow is paid in and you can easily withdraw it, right? And then lastly, having some foundational money, some money that's guaranteed that can't go away, that earns, really good interest, but doesn't have any risk. And, right now, a lot of those are in the 6 to 8% range. So it's great. Really good earnings. And if you have those in those bad years, you go take it from the guaranteed side, right? From the foundational money. And the good years, then okay, let's take some chips off the table. Let's lock in some of those gains and take that money out. And then of course the steady income stuff we can always be taking. So really by having that balance, it works. But the ones that have not worked are the ones that are lots of times do it yourself people where they put everything in the market and there is no pension plan on earth that would put 100% of their money in the stock market, yet they do it. And in those bad years, it's bad.
Really bad.
Really bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it becomes even more difficult when there are married couples, right? Because they have to plan for the future needs of that surviving spouse.
Oh, certainly. Yeah. So, I mean, one spouse could have, 100, 200, $300,000 of medical bills before the end of their life. And then, that eats up a lot of assets before that other spouse that may live another 20 years beyond.
Yeah.
And so depending on when that all happens, yeah, it can be really, really devastating. So again, it's one of those things where, having a plan, having some education really solves a lot of these issues. And so that's one of the things we've done here at Heckman Financial is we set up a digital toolbox. It's got a couple different, quick reads that you can go through. It's not jargon filled, and it's stuff like, will my money last as long as I do? Am I taking too much risk in retirement? Social Security, timing decisions, all these things. Even a copy of my book, Worry Less Wealth, and a way to set a time with Heckman Financial. All you have to do is click the link below if you're watching online, or if you're on, listening to the audio, just text the word toolbox to 800-454-1184. Again, text word toolbox, 800-454-1184.
And we thank you so much for joining us today. This is Wealth Creator Radio with Eric Heckman. I'm Luann Fulmer. So we're talking about, the fear of running out of money in retirement. And, with so much to consider, like you said, so many people try to do it alone, Eric, and it just seems so complicated and they might get it wrong. So what advice do you have for anybody listening or watching right now who are maybe 5-10 years away from retirement and they are like, I do need to get serious about planning? What would you say?
Yeah, well, I think you need to sit down with somebody because, if you've got a modern car, most modern cars now have a little light that turns on your side of your mirror, right?
Yep.
And that says that there's something in your blind spot. And if it's in your blind spot and you don't know about it and you retire, you'll find out at some point.
Yeah.
But typically it will not be kind of like before they had those blind spot indicators. Sometimes that was you found out by hitting the car. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's not good. We don't want that. And so we don't want that especially for your retirement, because you have insurance for your car. For your retirement, no, there's no insurance that gets you the money back. And so that's one of the things that we want to watch out for is you just don't know what you don't know until somebody helps you enlighten you. And so I would definitely sit down with somebody, find out some information. I would make sure they're a fiduciary. That means they have that standard of care that's in your best interest. If they have the words registered representative on their card, they are not a fiduciary. So they do not have that fiduciary standard of care. So it'd be somebody who works for a registered investment advisor. That's the term. So registered investment advisor is who you want to be looking for. And then ideally a CFP also. So a certified financial planner. So, but again, if you want to get a little bit more information, because we're all about education, all you do is text the word toolbox, 800-454-1184. Again, text word toolbox, 800-454-1184, or click the link below if you're watching online.
And still more to come with Eric. So stick around. After this break, we'll be right back with more of Wealth Creator Radio.